Okay, wow, we're dealing with tragedy again. We're talking about Southaven, Mississippi, El Paso, Texas, Dayton, Ohio, mass shootings that are happening. But listen, there's a question I want us to talk about for a minute. Does prayer really make a difference? Does it matter? Because a lot of people say that that's just a cop-out, a religious cop-out for inactivity. Well, stay with me for the next few minutes here in Fresh Air for Life as we dig a little bit into this. Let's go. Hey friends, welcome to another Fresh Air for Life. I'm Anthony D. Crawford. You know all of the standard particulars. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, all of that. Follow me on social media. But I want to get right into the heart of matters right now because this is a matter of prayer. Does prayer really make a difference? Does it matter? More and more people are criticizing today, especially after tragedies like what we've been experiencing, that prayer, is equivalent to, again, just being irresponsible. It doesn't make any difference. You're not really attacking, the real problem, et cetera, et cetera. I say to people who respond like that they clearly don't understand what prayer is. And that's okay. I get it. A lot of people really don't. But don't then sit back and criticize what you don't fully understand. So many of the evils and the horrific tragedies that are occurring in our society and throughout our world is due in part a great deal to our society's drift from God. Listen, God's been mocked, God's been ridiculed, God's been criticized, God's been redefined for that matter. Listen closely to me, that the more irreverent that we are towards God, the more irreverent we are towards each other in terms of how we value human life. You see it not only in these mass shootings, but we also see it how the unborn are treated and so many others in our society. And that's not the direction that God has called for us to go in. So when we pray, prayer for us is this connection with God where we are expressing our heart and then we're seeking to gain His wisdom, His direction, His strength to be able to know how to properly respond and deal with tragic issues like what have happened in our society, like what happened in Southaven, Mississippi, what happened in El Paso, Texas, what happened in Dayton, Ohio, and so many other places for that matter. Listen, we do not have a gun problem. We have a human heart problem. And we have to be intellectually honest about that because until we do, we'll never get to the core of what's really going on. People are using guns to create these type of mass murders. Guns are not using people, it's people using guns. And if we got rid of every gun on the planet, guess what? The problem is still there, how we are valuing human life, this human heart problem, and you would just simply see the uses of other tools and weapons to destroy life. So we got to be intellectually honest about this. And one thing for certain, if we're going to see any lasting change, it requires God's involvement on the human heart. And this is a big reason why we pray. Let me be very clear. Prayer does not mean inactivity. As a matter of fact, when we pray, it really begins to release us to become the best of who we are. And then we get involved, for like ourselves, we get involved in helping to curtail human trafficking in our society, and helping women in distress, and helping the homeless, and going out and visiting and inspiring those in prisons. We do all types of things because it starts first with prayer. So do not think for 1 minute that prayer is some type of inactive or just religious cop-out. This is how we start so we can really get to the root of the problem, and that is the human heart. Listen, there are tons of tremendous benefits to an effective prayer life after a tragedy like what we have experienced. I mean, number one, it motivates us to begin to act, for the good of others. A lot of times, just perfect strangers that we don't even know, everyone wants to rise up now and begin to do their absolute best. I love the fact that it also motivates us to operate in the spirit of Christ rather than, hatred and bitterness. Our response is different. It also paves the way to bring, peace and comfort to people that are dealing with, horrific, tragedies. And it also gives security and hope so that individuals can be able to make it through and go on to the next day and realize that they can still live. So prayer may not be your thing. I get that. I hope it is, but I understand that everyone may not do so. But listen, if it's not your thing, be careful not to criticize what you don't fully understand. Because through an effective prayer life, there have been many lives that have been saved, that's been sustained, that have been restored, that have been renewed, have been recovered, all because of someone's prayers. And I got news for you. Those lives include yours and mine. So remember, prayer matters. It does not mean inactivity. We are making a difference in getting to the root of the problem.